Welcome to the Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. I'm so happy you found us. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Again, good morning to you here on this Thursday morning. Spencer, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, thanks. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Yesterday, I got to tell you this. Here's a fun fact for families. You know, Home Depot, I don't know if I've said this, but you know Home Depot has got those kids kits, the kids kits. They would sometimes go, once a month on a Saturday morning from this time to this time, come to Home Depot and we'll give you a kit and the kids can build something.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that, yes.
Right? Well, now, because of COVID, they don't do that anymore. We went to Home Depot yesterday, and I've done this for a few months now, but you go up to guest services, and you ask for a kids kit, and they'll give you one free. It's all prepackaged, and then you just bring it home, and you build it yourself, and it was a battleship for November.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm guessing because of Veterans Day. And, yeah, they're totally free because they're free at the store when you would do the day. So if you're looking for a fun project for the families, and then so Kaiser got his, and he's able to do the whole thing by himself now. So I gave him a hammer, and he hammered everything and screwed everything together, and it's a fun little battleship.
That's cool, and you build it with your own hands. That's cool.
Yeah, I of course then proceeded to accidentally throw it into our retaining pond in the neighborhood, and it landed right in the middle. So
You sank his battleship.
How to get it for him.
You sank his battleship. Good going, Dad.
Womp, 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 womp. Coming up this half hour on the show, a conversation of nonprofit news presented by Peninsula Credit Union. The Mason County Senior Activities Association, because of the virus, is in a real tough spot. Have some information on how you can help. Then in the top of the hour, after the top of the hour newscast, we'll focus on Shelton, presented by our community credit union, and talk a little bit about nostalgia. Before we get to the news, what's going on with that quick look at the weather?
Yeah, it's going to be rainy again today. Showers this morning, a steady rain during the afternoon, and more rain tonight. Could be pretty heavy. We might get 1 to 2 inches over the next 24 hours.
Because of the Veterans Day holiday, no new COVID numbers out. We'll have more for you tomorrow on the show. But another outbreak has been reported at St. Michael Medical Center in Bremerton, where at least 6 people had been infected since early November. The Kitsap Sun reports CHI Franciscan, the hospital system that owns St. Michael, announced Tuesday that 4 patients and 2 employees had been infected to date. Hospital officials say the outbreak was linked to a patient who first tested negative and then positive on the 3rd. Another patient who tested positive the next day prompted St. Michael staff to test all patients and staff in that affected unit.
As we just mentioned a moment ago, that storm carrying high winds, drenching rain, and heavy snow, too, is headed for the Pacific Northwest. That's according to weather experts. The storm due to arrive at the end of the week will be the strongest seen in months. Meteorologists with AccuWeather said yesterday. Initially, rain will begin to fall along the coast in cities such as Seattle and Portland late this morning, or early in the afternoon. But by tomorrow afternoon, the storm is expected to slam into the coasts of Washington, Oregon, and Northern California, bringing heavy rain and high winds. Rain will turn to snow at some of the higher elevations.
Yeah, so just be cautious out there, and might be a good time, too, to head outside and assess the trees around your area. Fred Holmes, great advertiser here on the radio station. Call him up if you see any trees out there, because, my gosh, that's the last thing we need these days.
Yeah.
The Navy has announced it's investing in new, environmentally friendly tugboats designed to guide submarines and aircraft carriers through tight spots to and from ports here in our great state. The Kitsap Sun reports that Puget Sound Port Operations Captain Tim Hartman said at least 3 of the 8 tugboats in the fleet are nearly 50 years old and need replacement. The fleet includes 3 vessels at Bangor and Bremerton each, 2 in Everett. Hartman said his crew is already operating the Rainier. It's the first tug of a new tugboat class being delivered to the Navy to meet a new standard for emissions from the EPA.
The Trump campaign is challenging the results of the election in court, but Eric Tegedoff reports so far the campaign is coming up short in proving allegations of voter fraud.
The Trump campaign is challenging the results of the election in court, but so far is coming up short in proving allegations of voter fraud. Trump has lawsuits in a handful of states. In Pennsylvania, his campaign won a small victory in state court, ruling that officials must segregate a small number of mail-in ballots in case the Secretary of State's extended deadline to receive them is found unconstitutional. But Lisa Manheim at the University of Washington School of Law says she's seen no evidence of fraud that could change the election outcome.
Voter fraud is a serious allegation, and it needs to be backed up with actual evidence. And it's that evidence that we are just not seeing any degree of in an amount that could possibly overturn the result of the election.
Manheim notes even if the extended deadline in Pennsylvania is ruled unconstitutional, the court wouldn't decide to overturn the outcome of the vote. Instead, it would adjust the count by the number of ballots identified in the lawsuit. President-elect Joe Biden's lead is more than 45,000 votes in the Keystone State. This week, U.S. Attorney General William Barr authorized the Department of Justice to investigate voter fraud claims. Manheim says Barr can do that under the law, as long as the DOJ investigates credible allegations.
If DOJ goes further than that, the question becomes not only a legal one, but a question of what message the Department of Justice is sending.
And Manheim says in his role as president, Trump is mostly a bystander when it comes to legal challenges to election results.
The law gives a sitting president essentially no legal role to play at all in the resolution of an election. As a candidate, a sitting president is able to file lawsuits, but that's true of any candidate.
She adds that this isn't the first and won't be the last disputed election. But Manheim notes Trump's claims of a stolen election aren't normal.
Disputed elections are pretty common, and that's why we have well-established legal procedures in place to resolve those disputes. What is not common about what's going on, what is actually unusual about this election, is the rhetoric.
Support for this reporting was provided by the Carnegie Corporation of New York. For Washington News Service, I'm Eric Tegedoff.
Thanks, Eric. All right, moving to sports. We have Cougar Football for you upcoming this weekend here on the radio. They are going to take on Oregon here on the air this Saturday. It's going to be at 4 o'clock, so we'll get the pregame at 2 o'clock here on AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Then the next day, we'll get the Hawks on the air, and they have the worst pass defense in the NFL. The Seahawks could be down both of their starting quarterbacks for Sunday's game at the Rams. This could be a tough one for them as well. Man, they started off so good, and we were like, yeah, they're going to the Super Bowl. Then they had a couple of hiccups here the last couple of days. We'll find out what happens on Sunday as the Seahawks play the Rams with the pregame at 11 and the kick at 1:25. Brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehab, Riviera's Shellfish, South Sound Appliance, Dogtown Grooming, Neil's Pharmacy, and the Shelton Athletic Club. And again, coming up this half hour, a conversation about the Mason County Senior Activities Association. Then after the top of the hour newscast, focus on Shelton and a conversation about nostalgia. It's all here on Daybreak. Good morning.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning, everybody. Time for us to focus on Shelton, presented by our Community Credit Union, where just like pumpkin spice, eggnog, and peppermint, holiday quick bucks are back for a limited time only. Check with them for details. For the focus on Shelton, Mary Ricker. How are you doing, Mary?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We've got, I've had some conversations in the last couple of weeks, and next week's going to be a big one as the city council and everybody's going to start working on budgets.
Yeah, it's budget season. The preliminary is available. One of the kind of fun things about the budget is that anybody can read it and anybody can comment on it. So if you go on the city's website, which is sheltonlaw.gov, you can see the preliminary budget and kind of see what the city's plans are as we head into 2021.
I mean, I can't imagine there's a lot of extra coming into the budget or extra projects for next year because there's just so much unknown from the tail end of, well, not the tail end, but most of this year.
Yeah.
So they probably have some tough decisions coming forward.
Yeah, definitely as you know, as everybody knows, the COVID-19 pandemic still ongoing, and that definitely impacts the city's revenue, and especially the reporting of some of the stuff like sales tax revenues is delayed. So sometimes we don't know the impacts of that until a couple months later.
Wow, yeah.
So thankfully, our finance staff, they're really the professionals, and they kind of know it's a delicate balance for sure, and
Sure.
they know how to maintain it.
Wow, that's a tough one
Yeah.
with the pandemic here.
Yeah.
I mean, traditionally over the years, we've had to do a lot of work with limited monies coming in, and now it's something completely different. The other thing, though, if we were to look at some maybe extra projects to kind of change the look of downtown, you were telling me about a Wayfair project or the signs project.
Yeah, so it's a wayfinding project. So what is a wayfinder? It's kind of one of those signs where it has like 0.5 miles to this place, 0.2 miles to this place. You see them at Disney World and stuff like that. So we're at the city, we're working on getting that project kind of kick-started with help from the Chamber of Commerce. They kind of helped put this project on our radar screen, and we're kind of in the beginning processes of what that would look like in the downtown neighborhood, just to highlight some of the cool local restaurants and businesses for people both who are from here and who aren't from here.
Sure.
So to give some highlights to some new businesses.
That's kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Those signs you see, and they all point.
Yeah,
off
you
the
definitely
different
know them
directions.
when you see them.
Yeah. Huh. That's great.
Yeah.
Anything else that you have been talking with Parks and Rec for next year? I mean, I know that, like we said, everything's just so up in the air because of the budget.
Yeah. I know Parks, they are working on kind of adjusting their program options to maybe offer some more virtual things. But like you said, a lot of it is really up in the air. I would definitely recommend if people aren't following the city online, to do so, to maybe bookmark the city's website, or we even have like a quarterly newsletter that comes out called the Shelton Stream that will have like updates in it too. So definitely, find a way to keep in touch with the city, so that way you'll be kind of the first to know what's going on.
And the budget process, again, is very important to the work done in the city, and citizens have a chance to look at that and add input as well.
Yeah.
Focus on Shelton this week and every week, brought to you by our community credit union, where again, holiday quick bucks are back, so check in with them for that. Mary Recker, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show. And on the phone line, I am here to talk a little bit about the Mason County Senior Activities Association with Patty Verney and President of the Board, Clay Long. Patty, how you doing?
Doing great.
Thanks for coming on and talking with me. And you've sent me some emails to get this interview lined up. And as with everything these days, places have been hit and impacted because of coronavirus and COVID-19. And I can only imagine the Mason County Senior Activities Association is there as well. How are you doing, and what can the community do to learn more?
Well, we lost, as most people know, Nifty Thrifty is our major funding source, and that's the thrift store downtown Shelton on Railroad. We are a nonprofit, and we are self-funded, so we do not get a monthly check from the state or the county. Right now, when COVID started and hit really hard last March, we ended up April and May having to close the thrift store. And when they were able to reopen, it was just a portion of the amount of customers were allowed to come in, and now they've stepped it up some and sales are better, but we still lost a few months worth of sales there. The senior center also has a lot of fundraisers. We have bingo karaoke, which has stopped due to COVID. We normally, in off hours, rent the building out for weddings. The prom has been held here the last few years. Celebration of Life, all these large gatherings that we normally make extra funds on have had to stop. We've had to refund everybody's deposits that we've had so far this year, and we aren't taking any future, at least for the next few months, deposits for any gathering.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Patty, correct me if I'm wrong, but also the Senior Activities Association and the center there has been used because of the great kitchens that you have to help provide and get food out to people across the county that would usually not be able to get to it too, right?
Well, we're not open for hot meals for our seniors that normally come to the senior center.
Right.
We lease our kitchen to Senior Services for South Sound, who cook Meals on Wheels. They're able to come in Monday through Friday and cook Meals on Wheels. But there is no in-person or congregate meals right now. We can't do that during this COVID shutdown. Meals on Wheels is still, in fact, able to serve those that need meals delivered to their homes.
Clay, let's bring you into the conversation. The facility is gigantic, 16,000 square feet. And over the years, like has been mentioned, it has been the home of some great events. And this is a real impact, not only to the seniors in Shelton and the whole community, but the county. I mean, this is a major location that often was used for events and activities of all kinds.
Absolutely. And like I said, we've lost all the revenue from that. So, and our seniors need this facility.
Yeah.
They need to be able to talk to other seniors and communicate with each other. And right now, we have seniors that are crying for us to open up, but because of the COVID, the board is a little bit leery to do that right now, especially with the holidays coming on.
Sure. Well, what are you guys thinking about doing, ways to get some funds raised, or obviously folks are encouraged to go to Nifty Thrifty, but what if somebody wants to be able to donate more than that or help? How are we able to do that?
Well, we have a committee working on that right now for fundraising and so forth, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. There's some different things we're working on. We're working on maybe gift certificates to Nifty Thrifty. It's tough because we still have a mortgage on this building.
Oh, wow.
So we have that going out every month. And but it's a tough deal, and we really, really need the funding.
And it's not just seniors that have used this, as mentioned, but the Mason County Senior Activities Association and the center is online at mcsac.net. I'll put the links to this in the show notes when we post this interview as well. But it's used, and it has been used by people of all ages for years, and it is a real key to the community just outside of town. Up back behind Gillis Auto Center is where this is, if you haven't been there or familiar with this thing. But what are you guys concerned about the future of the building in the next couple of years or less?
Absolutely.
Well, there's your answer right there. Clay said it. I mean, if this is a facility that has touched you in any way, or you realize the value of this for the seniors moving forward, we have to figure out some ways to help out Patty Verney, Clay Long, and everybody on the board here.
We're putting together a GoFundMe site, and that'll be going live here in the next week or so.
Okay.
And we're challenging the county, the community. If we could get 500 people to donate $1,000 or 1,000 people to donate $500, I don't feel that's a big ask. What we would like to do is pay off our mortgage and then we won't have such a threat hanging over us as to our longevity once the COVID is gone.
Well, when that GoFundMe page gets up, make sure you let me know, and I'll put the share on our website for it. Otherwise, you can go to mcsac.net to learn more and find out more about what traditionally is offered at the Activities Center and the association. I know old Dan Gagnon must be just beside himself that he hasn't been able to do bingo karaoke.
Yeah, we asked him if he could be part of this when we had talked about doing a Zoom meeting, but he's on a little vacation right now with his wife.
Well,
so
we'll have to get him. We'll have to get him on next time then.
Yep, we will.
Patty, good to talk with you. I wish it were under better circumstances that we could have you on the air today, but hopefully this is a good catalyst to get folks helping out the center and getting you on secure footing moving into 2021. Clay, good to talk with you as well, and I'll put the links to the show notes, to the website and more on the show notes, but please do what you can to help out the Mason County Senior Activities Center by shopping at Nifty Thrifty or learning more or volunteering or donating time or monies, and we'll put that GoFundMe page up when it's up there.
Appreciate it. We truly appreciate it. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and be well. The Mason County Senior Activities Center is a 501c3 nonprofit, and I'd like to thank Peninsula Credit Union for offering time to nonprofits to come on the air and talk about issues that matter to them. If you're interested in a nonprofit to come on, email me, jeff@ifiber1.com.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good Thursday morning again to you. The Daybreak Show rolls on. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes. Good morning, Spencer.
Hey, good morning. What's going on?
This is kind of a fun survey. 70% of Americans are nostalgic for old favorite movies and shows. I think because of COVID-19, a lot of folks, as we've talked off and on, of course, over the last few months, lots more time available to catch up, binge watch, and this and that. So, new survey, 70% of Americans feel more nostalgic than they ever have, and they're indulging by binging on some of their favorite movies and TV of years and days gone by. This is a cool one. What are some of the hits that people are revisiting?
Shows like Seinfeld was a classic of comedy. Game of Thrones, I never really got into that one, but very popular, of course.
What's nostalgic about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because it took place. Is it supposed to be like a long time ago or something?
Yeah, because it's set a long time ago. It's old. That's right. Is that how it is? For some reason, and I don't know how you're going to react to this, but the first thing that popped into my head when I think of nostalgic TV,
yeah,
you're going to die.
Let's hear it.
I'm thinking Jack Hay on 227.
What?
Do you remember?
Wait, let's see if that's on the top 10 answers on the board.
Yeah, no, that's a big zero. I wouldn't go anywhere on Family Feud with that.
Wow, that's kind of an obscure one. Tell me your reasoning behind that one.
I don't know. I have no idea. But as we started this conversation, Jack Hay popped into my head from 227. That makes me nostalgic.
Wow. That's really, I was thinking like, Leave It to Beaver. The Andy Griffith Show, maybe.
Started in 1985, went through 1990. And I can't remember if this is like a follow-up to another show before 227.
I think either that was a spinoff or that led to a spinoff, but I think you're right. And I don't remember which one.
Anyways, that's just something that popped into my head. 227. I do appreciate Seinfeld. Movies, Jurassic Park and the Indiana Jones franchise, those are great.
Yeah, and Indiana Jones will continue, it sounds like, with, number 5? I don't know what COVID did to it, but I guess they shelved it for a while. But Harrison Ford's ready to do it.
Poll also noted 30% of respondents reminisced about travel while in lockdown.
And,
29% mourned that they couldn't see friends and family like they used to. 67% says their nostalgia has motivated them to redecorate by highlighting photos and decor that reminded them of fun days gone by. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, it is. And what's really interesting too is even in my home studio, my office, I have pictures on the walls, and I always think, should I update the pictures? They're all pictures of the kids when they were young, at the pumpkin patch or with their grandparents and stuff. And I haven't replaced those. What's your take on that? Like the pictures you have of Kaiser when he was kind of a baby, now that he's older and he's becoming a big kid, are you going to just put them next to those pictures, or do you go back and kind of update the ones that are already there? Because I kind of like having the ones, when they were kids.
Yeah. No, well, I think what we've done is that we've just added to the collection.
Yeah.
It feels weird to remove one of the photos.
I'm terrible at that because I don't want to get rid of those. So they'll probably stay up there forever. And you're right, probably put a new frame next to those and stuff,
The other one on nostalgia was something I read on Reddit the other day, and it was talking about nostalgia and music. And I guess that you should be kids who are 12 to 15, that music right there is going to be key in their life moving forward. That will be, it'll be like an anchor point.
Sure.
So when they hear these songs as they start their teenage years, these will bring them back and have a lot of great memories. And so I'm looking at songs that came out in 1993. That's kind of where I would be between 12 and 15.
Oh, you youngin'.
And there's some good ones here. Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, yeah.
Insane in the Brain by Cypress Hill. River of Dreams by Billy Joel. There's some Heart-Shaped Box by Nirvana. I never was a big Nirvana fan. Between you and me, I'm not a huge Nirvana guy.
No, and it's funny. I'm blanking out on what's his name. I wasn't a big Kurt Cobain fan, but the drummer, Dave
Grohl. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of his, but Nirvana not so much.
So remember to think back on those songs when you were turning, and that's kind of a fun nostalgic piece as well. These are good. These are fun conversations and just kind of brings you back. I'm going to go get my DVDs of 227 now.
You have a marathon you can binge. How long did it last? It lasted longer than I thought it did.
It was on for 5 years.
Wow.
5 seasons.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at like 227. I'm just...
Right, no. It's just weird that I think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Florence Johnston, the sassy maid from the Jeffersons. That is how 227 comes about.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I forgot that connection. Yeah, that's right.
The show was created as a starring vehicle for Marla Gibbs, who had become famous as Florence on the Jeffersons.
Ah. Yeah, that was a good show. It's funny when you said 227, I'll be totally honest. I was picturing it totally. I don't know what show I was thinking, but now that makes sense. Yeah, I love that show. I was getting 227 mixed up with something else in my head.
Huh. Well, 5 seasons, 116 episodes. There you go.
Good stuff.
There you go, yeah. All right, more Daybreak coming up.
iFiber One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Again, good Thursday morning to you. Spencer, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Good morning.
Just kind of looking at some of the events on the day, some birthdays and historical notes. Brian Hyland is 77 today. Itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. Not wearing much of those these days as the weather is definitely turned. Neil Young's 75. Al Michaels is 76. Sammy Sosa, 52. That's a name you haven't heard in a long time. Anne Hathaway is 38. A lot of folks either really like her or really don't like her. I'm a fan. And she is in the remake. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why people don't like her.
I don't either.
She's in the remake on HBO Max of the classic Roald Dahl book, The Witches. We read the book to Kaiser. We watched the great one with Angelica Houston as the Grand High Witch. But Anne Hathaway plays the Grand High Witch in this episode.
How's that one?
In this version. So it's pretty good. I mean, it's a lot different. It's almost a little more intense than the other one.
Huh.
So that's just kind of some of the fun things birthdays that people are having today. What else? What happened on the day? Anything good?
Yeah, well, 1931, EMI is now legendary Abbey Road Studios in the St. John's Wood section of London celebrated its grand opening. I had no idea. We all think of Abbey Road, from the Beatles and stuff. I didn't know it was that old. Did you? 1931?
Yeah. No, that's amazing to think about that. Stephanie and I went to Abbey Road when we were coming back from our Grecian honeymoon so many years gone by. And of course, me, like every other idiot American, tries to walk across the Abbey Road crosswalk, given a peace sign or something like that. And cars, the people that live there, they're done.
fed up, right?
They're over. They're over the cross. They are over that crosswalk. And they zip through there fast. I mean, if you want to get a picture, it has got to be, okay, there's nobody coming. Get out there, shoot the photo, get back, because boom, here comes a car.
No time to freeze frame yourself for very long.
No, not at all. That's pretty funny. But 1931, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Madonna releasing Like a Virgin, 1984. What else happened?
Yeah, this is a cool one. We should never ever forget this. On this date, November 12th, 1955, 10:04 p.m. to be exact, lightning struck the Hill Valley Clock Tower, sending Marty McFly back to the future.
That's right. 1.21 gigawatts. They got that there. That clock tower had been installed way back in the 1880s, I believe, if that's correct.
Yeah. It's history they don't teach the kids anymore.
I can't believe that's not on the... We're kidding, folks. Of course, that's the major plot line of the great Robert Zemeckis' Back to the Future movies. But if you check the newspapers on the film, today's the day of the lightning struck.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I love those movies. I was thinking about it. I grew up with Star Wars, and I was a teenager during these and stuff, and even, teenager. And I think I enjoyed these almost as much in their own way as the Star Wars original trilogy. I mean, these were just, I thought, perfectly done movies. There's a lot of glitches that people love to point out on YouTube and stuff, like contradictions and little inconsistencies here and there, but I love them, and I hope they never reboot them. Robert Zemeckis says he'll never allow them to be redone, but who knows?
I hope so. Or I hope not, I guess. I wouldn't want to see them redone.
Yeah.
That's funny that you found that one. That's good. Good stuff. All right, more Daybreak Show coming up. Thank you so much for listening to today's Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. Again, I'm so happy and honored you found us and chose to listen. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of some of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on iFiber One News Radio KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Thank you so much again, and talk with you next time.